As the final echoes of Vietnam reverberated, a quieter but equally transformative revolution unfolded in New York City. By 1975, the city was teetering on the brink of bankruptcy. It turned to Wall Street for salvation, but salvation came at a cost. The Municipal Assistance Corporation was established, with 8 of its 9 members drawn from the world of high
Felix
finance.
financial wizard extraordinary, is the most important man in New York City today. He's chairman of the Municipal Assistance Corporation, or Big Mac as it's more commonly known, after America's favorite hamburger.
You know, a financial crisis isn't like taking pictures of missiles in Cuba. You can look at the pictures and you can see the missiles and you can decide you're going to go to war to prevent it. But a financial crisis isn't that. But the bankruptcy of New York could change the city. Nobody knows for sure, but it could change it so dramatically as to have it not be recognizable again.
Public services were gutted to satisfy creditors' demands, heralding a new era where financial elites ruled from behind closed doors. Public workers bore the brunt of this financial reckoning. Thousands were laid off, leaving families struggling to survive. Libraries shuttered and rubbish accumulated in the streets, symbolic of a city in decay.
The water's really in bad shape. Usually we've had enough men and manpower to get in here and do a pretty good job of cleaning it up, but due to the money crisis, they just don't have the manpower, and this is the results.
These austerity measures represented a shift in governance from elected leaders to unelected financial technocrats, accountable not to the public, but to the markets.
Aren't there dangerous implications in a body like Mac coming along and being in a position to tell the politicians what they can do and what they can't do in a democratic society? You have said they are not competent in running the financial affairs of the city, have you not?
I didn't think I quite put it that strongly. I said that, or maybe I didn't. Politicians with money are like kids with marijuana, and you have to tell them, you know, this is all you've got. Politicians only have a crisis when they run out of money. Well, 75 was the year the money ran out.
This shift in power was not confined to New York. The logic of financial technology spread like wildfire. The International Monetary Fund and World Bank adopted similar models, enforcing austerity on indebted nations from Buenos Aires to Jakarta. Public services were stripped and ordinary citizens were left to pick up the pieces. Protests erupted globally as people resisted the grip of creditors on their lives. The parallel to today's world are striking: student debt crises, skyrocketing rents, and the rise of billionaires amid economic precarity all trace their roots to this moment. In New York, austerity was framed as a necessary evil, but it also marked the beginning of a broader movement to place the logic of the market above the will of the people. Just as the streets of New York were filled with uncollected trash, today's cities grapple with detritus of decades of financial dominance. Families face eviction while hedge funds profit from foreclosures. Young people drown in debt while billionaires multiply their wealth during economic crises. The seeds planted in New York didn't just reshape the city, they grew global roots. But this is not just a story of economics, it's a story of power, who wields it, and at whose expense. From New York's austerity to today's struggles, the same pattern emerges. The decisions are made in boardrooms while the consequences are felt on the streets. The rise of financial technocracy was not an isolated event, it was the harbinger of a new world order. And yet, the story of New York is only the beginning. This model of governance, born in the ashes of the city's bankruptcy, would soon reshape entire nations, cementing the logic of the market as the dominant force of our time. Amid this turmoil, some saw opportunity in the wreckage. Donald Trump was one of them. Even as government grants dried up under austerity, Trump realized that there was still a way to profit, this time not by building housing for the poor, but by catering to the rich. He bought up derelict properties across New York City, transforming them into luxury hotels and towering office blocks. In exchange, he negotiated the largest tax break in the city's history, worth $160 million, at a time where New York was desperate for any signs of recovery. Banks, eager to capitalise on the revival, poured money into his projects. The result was a city increasingly shaped not for the many, but for the few, a playground for the rich, built on the tax breaks of a bankrupt government.